We rise with a purpose, shine through the night. Voices of courage, lifting the light. Step into your moment, let your spirit fly. We are the voices that reach for the sky.
Welcome to Voices of Purpose, a podcast that shines a light on the quiet heroes, passionate change makers, and the everyday people answering the call to make a difference.
Here we explore the stories behind the mission, the why that drives the work, and celebrate the power of purpose in action.
Hello, I'm Chris Wooters.
And I'm Chris Hibbert. We're the hosts of your show for today.
All right, let's jump into today's conversation.
Joining us today on Voices of Purpose, we have Hannah Nunn. I heard about Hannah's project, Kickstart Coffee, when talking with a mutual acquaintance, Ellie Mae Banks. Hannah was Ellie Mae's lecturer when she was training to become a nurse. We were immediately enthralled to learn how the sale of coffee was leading to such incredible and beneficial change in rural communities in Uganda. Educating children, paying teachers and coffee producers fair wages, providing much needed food and so much more. Hannah, thank you for sharing your story with us. Can you tell us how this incredible journey began?
Yes, thank you for having me today. So the journey began 23 years ago when I was a student nurse. I visited Uganda and worked in a HIV/AIDS hospital just outside Kampala. And I totally fell in love with the country, the people, the children. And it was on that visit that I met a lady called Agnes who ran a school and had a real heart for disadvantaged community children. And it was on that trip where I felt really driven to support her. And I started doing fundraising, visiting Uganda. After I got married, Phil and I lived there for about 6 months where I nursed. And then 5 years ago, we realized that the project had legs and we thought we could grow this to reach more children. We had 87 children at the school at the time, all from the local community, all children that couldn't afford to go to school. So it was a kind of a safe haven where they could learn. But we were running out of money and we had a decision to make. Do we close the project or do we do something different? So we could either fundraise here in the UK, we could look at a child sponsorship model. That is something that I didn't feel we really wanted to go down because we feel every child should have access to education. And then one day I saw a bag of coffee in Uganda and I just thought, well, why don't we set up a coffee company? Uganda grows one of the best coffees in the world, in my opinion. And I just thought that everyone drinks coffee, apart from the tea drinkers in the UK. And what an amazing story it could be to directly source the coffee and support the coffee growers and then send all of our profits back to the school. So that's what we did. And we are now selling approximately 2 tons of coffee a month and sending over $10,000 in profit to the school. So we have nearly 450 children at the school now with 42 fully paid staff, serving 20,000 school meals a month. And we're looking to start funding another primary school in the coffee region and also a scholarship program into a secondary school. So, yeah.
It's truly amazing what a cup of coffee can do.
Yes.
I had a quick look on your website earlier and I was reading about some of the projects that you're doing with the kindergartens and the primary schools. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the age range of the children? Because I think there's a number of age ranges that you're now supporting, isn't there?
Yes, we've got a kindergarten, age 3 to 6. We have about 100 children coming every day to the kindergarten. Again, children from low income, mostly single mothers. They earn about £1 to £2 a day, if that. And the children can come, and really it's a safe place for them to be while their mums are at work. They also get provided 2 meals a day, and they start their education. And then once they graduate from kindergarten, which is a very special occasion, they move to the primary section, which have 340 children now. There's 7 classes, so from P1 to P7. I know that's a different school system from the UK and probably US. And the age ranges are from 6 to 14. And the upper classes, that's P6 and 7, they start school at 6 in the morning and they finish their lessons at 8 in the evening. They take their education so seriously because it's their kind of gateway out of poverty. And then they will move to secondary school. And the secondary school is a linked school. It's not in the same compound. It's a boarding school just outside Entebbe. And then once they pass their secondary, our hope is that they will go to college and university. So over the last 20 years, we have got children that have gone through the whole system. We've got nurses, teachers, we've got 1 doctor, a lawyer. So it really does change their lives and kind of breaks that cycle of poverty that they were in growing up.
It's amazing, isn't it, when you see children that really understand the value of education. I've witnessed it myself in various places, but it's so often the case. When they have a difficult upbringing, they realise when they're given that chance to have some good quality education, they really, really do grasp it. I think that's a fantastic story, and you've got some real good sort of positive stories from that already of the children that have already gone through the system. It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, and just kind of providing they love the playground. We've just put in a clean filter water system. We take water for granted. We turn our taps on and fill up our glasses, where actually these children don't have that opportunity. They don't have running water at home. They don't have electricity at home. So the school really has become their kind of safe place where they fill up their water bottles, that they're drinking water overnight. The majority of children won't have an evening meal, so they come in the morning for breakfast and then they have a really good lunch. And then at weekends, they also come back to school. And they also love a playground. We're having a refurb of the playground in July. And really, it's what school should be, like our children. Here in the UK and US, and all around the world. It's giving those children the opportunity that they should have. So interestingly, in Uganda, 95% of children have access and enroll in primary education, but only 30% will finish and 30% move to secondary. So there's a huge kind of issue where, yes, they can enroll, but due to financial constraints or potentially social, where parents need them to work. So we work with the community really closely to say, actually, this is a benefit to the child, but it's also a benefit to you, because they will, progress and get a really good job. And then the culture in Uganda is that the children support the family. So it's trying to kind of communicate and educate the parents that actually the children should stay at school and these will be the benefits.
Wow, it's just totally amazing to hear, what you've done so far over the last 20 years. Can you go back and really talk about, to go this far and to do this much, you have to have the time that basically you found your passion to basically send you on this course. Because as you stated, it's not been one that's been very easy. And, you've taken a lot of work, and you've done so much with it, and then, communication to the community and building this up. But at what point did you really find that passion for wanting to do this?
I think it was, to be honest, the moment I stepped into the hospital when I was 21. I just was so shocked that I was brought up and born in the UK and had the opportunities that I've had that I took for granted. That I went to school, I had food on the table, I had everything that I could possibly want, and yet there is a population that don't have that and don't have that privilege of even just running water. So it was quite an instant change, if I'm honest, to kind of a calling to do better and to do more. And yeah, just a purpose really of my life. I don't think my husband Phil ever realized that I would come back the way that I did come back from that initial trip. And also being a nurse in the UK and appreciating what it's like to be a nurse in Uganda. And, you know, many of these children don't have access to healthcare. Yet in the UK, we've got a free healthcare system. You know, we're very privileged here. So I think it was just the fact of saying, you know, I was born in the UK. I could have been born anywhere in the world. And actually, these children have as much right to healthcare and education as any of our children have.
It's interesting you say that about you were born in the UK and you could have been born anywhere. It's totally random, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, totally random.
We are lucky to be born where we are, and that is exactly the kind of feeling that I've had for a long time. So it's wonderful to hear the similarities already. But as Chris was saying, you went out 23 years ago, and at some point you decided, okay, I want to do this in a big way. And you decided you wanted to sell coffee, make coffee. Yeah. So how does that work? Are you as a coffee ground in Uganda, or do you bring it over in bean form? How does that work?
Yeah, so it comes over as green beans. So coffee grows on, well, you have two types. You've got Robusta, which is kind of sea level, and then you have Arabica, which is on the mountains. And so it comes over as a seed. So it's actually a cherry. It's like a fruit. It's dried out there by the producers and the farmers. And then it comes over in 60 kilo sacks. So our first ever shipment, we actually only had 2 bags brought over to see whether it would work. And a funny story is that I got notification on my phone that the bags of coffee had arrived in the UK at Heathrow. So I spoke to Phil, my husband, and I said, "Oh, Phil, we need to go and collect the coffee from Heathrow. It's arrived, it's arrivals." He's like, "What do you mean? You can't just go and collect your coffee from arrivals?" So the learning that I've gone through, even just understanding that actually, no, I'm now an importer. I have to have, certain numbers, the legality around that. Completely naive, just thought, just bring a bag of coffee over. So that was really kind of the first point where I thought, oh, this might be harder than I thought. And then it was things like coming up with a name and packaging and logos and, what's our purpose? What's our mission? Because to start with, I thought this would just be a little hobby. We'll just sell a few bags of coffee. I'll carry on full-time in my nursing manager role. And then quickly we realized actually that I couldn't do both. I couldn't be a nurse full-time. I used to manage quite a busy ward and run a full-time coffee company that we wanted to scale. So we made the decision after a year of me stepping down from that role, handing in my notice. I think they were all a bit shocked. I've been at Addenbrooke's for 23 years. And kind of thought, okay, I'm going to go on this journey of learning and growing a company and everything that comes with that. So that was 5 years ago. And we've only just now taken on a second employee called Esther. She works 12 hours a week. So it's very much been me doing the packing of the coffee, logistics, and then huge work in Uganda. So working with an NGO, making sure the money goes where it should go, going to Uganda twice a year to monitor the project and to grow the project. So it's been a huge journey of learning and self-growth really as well.
Yeah, I love following you on Facebook and seeing the trips and the children and all the stuff you're doing with, the backpacks and the school books and all that kind of stuff. But I've actually still got one of your bags of coffee here.
Proud Kamacha.
And I was looking online. I don't know if you do the Subi roast anymore.
No, that was a special. That was,
No,
yeah.
it's our favourite.
Yeah.
It's our
Yeah,
favourite.
Sydney.
But on the bag it says a couple of things. It says this bag of coffee has funded a teacher for one day,
Yeah.
and it also says that for every 20 kilograms you plant a tree.
Yeah, we've ramped that up now. Yes. So we've moved to a model. I need to update the labels. Thanks. I'll add that to my to-do list.
It's a slightly older bag.
That we've actually started really supporting the coffee growers as well as the school. So we carry on with that funding. So we've started a project called Fees for Trees. So when I did a visit in October, we realised that the coffee growing community, they can't afford to send their children to school, even though we're drinking their coffee at, I mean, what is it in America now? $5 a cup? I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's hit £5 a cup here in the UK. Yet the farmer gets probably 0.04% of that money.
Wow.
So we really saw a gap to say, how can we support the farmers more? Yes, we buy, their coffee at good price, but it's not enough. Coffee is still too cheap for the farmers. So what we do is we plant more trees on the individual compounds to increase their income in the next 3 to 5 years. So Moses is a good example. We've just planted 350 new coffee plants for him. And then we subsidize and pay his children's school fees. Then in 3 years' time, we'll pull back and he'll be able to fund it himself.
That's brilliant.
So, and we're aiming to plant to our coffee consumption. So that's about 1,000 to 2,000 coffee trees a month.
Wow. And I know that you're not a lion, but you probably know our motto, we serve. I think that what you're doing though is doing far more, and it's more empowering. It's really empowering the kids, empowering even the farmers, like you said, to do more, which is wonderful to see. Not everyone goes that extra step to help out and to empower those.
Yeah, I just think we I don't know. It's a difficult one because I just kind of feel driven to do it. It's like my mind sparks all the time of new ideas to support the communities, but really empower them, for positive change. So, and if you can increase an income, that's actually way more powerful than just giving £100. Actually that give you the trees, £100 worth of trees. And then in 3 years, that's actually going to be worth so much more money.
Yeah, I started a project in Romania 25 years ago, going to children's homes. And the thing that took me back year after year after year was the children and the relationships. You're going there twice a year. You must know some of these children for years now, and seeing them grow, seeing them develop, building that relationship with them, that must be one of your key drivers, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A child that springs to mind is David. I met him when he was 5. He's now 21, training to be a barista in Uganda, and wants to be in the coffee trade. And just seeing him kind of go through school, secondary, college, and then want to do something with coffee. And we want to kind of set up a Kickstart Coffee in Uganda brand. It's really, really amazing. But one thing that we really do focus on is those relationships are really important and key, but the children come to school freely. They don't need to write letters. I don't need any thanks. They should be going to school because that's their right. And actually the people that we really focus on are the teachers and our staff, paying them a living wage, making sure that they get food as well, that their children can come to school, they don't need to pay their fees, and that actually they have a good life and that they are employed. So actually seeing the teachers flourish and doing something that they love means that the children also will just learn and grow and succeed way more as well. So our model really of not so much focusing on the children actually, and focusing on our teachers and staff is a model that I haven't actually seen yet. And I think it really is paying off.
That's an interesting point. Yeah. So, what sort of challenges have you had? I mean, I've got this vision now of 2 bags of coffee going around the carousel at Heathrow Airport.
Yeah.
But other than that, what kind of challenges have you had? You know, going from the small scale to the big scale. What are your major challenges?
I think the biggest one has been getting our coffee farmers and our sourcing sorted. With the world turmoil has been very challenging, with first the war in Ukraine and then Israel and Gaza. That's caused huge problems for coffee growers, importers, exporters due to transport. So we've seen huge cost increases in shipments of coffee, as well as 120% increase in coffee itself. So a year ago, you probably could have got a kilo of coffee for $3.5. It's now hitting about $7, if not more.
Wow.
It's absolutely huge. So that's why we've seen a massive increase in your latte. But for a profit-driven charity, that kept me awake probably for 2 months, because I was thinking, how is our consumer going to cope with an increase, and our companies that support us, without decreasing the impact? And there's a lot of people relying on us now. So to be able to make sure that we can send the money every month to pay the teachers, to make sure the children come to school and they eat their food, that's a lot of pressure. And that's why we're looking at sustainable ways of creating income in country. So we've really stumbled across planting coffee. So we're also starting a Robusta farm for the early learning school of 10,000 Robusta plants. That will fund the project in 5 years when they're mature. So I think making sure that we still have a steady income from the coffee definitely is the one thing that is stressful. Everything else is fine. We can work it through.
That's great. Now, obviously, I can buy coffee here in the UK, and I have done so. And you really supported me on a project I did at work. I was doing a sustainability day, and I wanted to create hampers. And I don't know if you remember, I bought 10 bags off you. And you kindly provided lovely, colourful, handmade bags to put them in, which was really generous of you, and that really went down so well. But how can Chris buy coffee? Where can Chris get his coffee from?
Sure, with the tariffs, I'm not quite sure, Chris.
How much would that cost?
You might be buying it for $50 a bag.
I might have to bring some with me in September.
There you go.
Yes, that's the way.
In my luggage.
It would be very easy if we found a US partner. So if we had somebody that listens to this and thinks, wow, we could sell Kickstart Coffee in the US, we can easily get your green beans and bags and logos. But it's just finding that one person that really wants to kind of do that mission and sell the coffee. And that would be the route to market, really, is kind of a separate entity, but still with the same branding. Very, very difficult sending roasted coffee to the US now with just taxes. It's kind of not worth it, sadly. But if you bring in coffee a different way, in green beans, and have it roasted somewhere in the US, it would work really well. Coffee is it is a swamp market. So many people, you've probably seen, there's loads of coffee roasters and coffee companies, but it's about your USP, what's different, how can your customers trust what you're saying, and how can you kind of create a story that people really engage with. We have all the stories and we have the impact. It's just finding people that kind of align with that.
Well, again, that's hopefully what we're hoping this kind of thing will do. We have connections through Lions all over the world. So we've got connections in Kenya, We've got some really good friends over there, but all over the world. So potentially, we have no idea who's going to watch this, who's going to be inspired by this. But ultimately, the opportunity is there for you to gain connections and hopefully help build your brand and build the amount of support that you can give to those children and more children.
Yes, exactly.
And more farmers and expand it even bigger. So I think it's a fabulous model. And I love the coffee. So hopefully we can find a way of helping you grow that and grow more coffee.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, do you have a nonprofit or a charity side to the company as well, or is it just all going through the coffee side?
No, so we're a registered community interest company, and we're also a UK charity now.
Okay.
So the coffee company runs as a community interest non-profit, and then all the profits feed into the charity every month and then goes off to Uganda that way. We've created a UK charity for a few reasons. Number one is improving our governance structure. And number two means we can start taking donations if people want to donate. So although we kind of really love people just to buy the coffee and support that way, there are people that say, actually, we want to set up the direct debit every month and then we can start gift aiding that money. So that's why we did the charity. Also, we have people that want to do sponsorships and, raise money for projects. Like we've got a building on the school grounds that's just waiting to be built up. It's been like that for 12 years. So being a UK charity, we can focus on separate projects. The coffee really funds the monthly running costs of a project, which is what keeps the children in school. So you can have a beautiful, spanking project of a new school, but if you don't have monthly revenue, the teachers won't get paid. So the charity really, I think, will do more of a focus on what projects we can do alongside the monthly giving.
Well, I know this great foundation that works with people, especially with charities that help to match funds that are raised to do projects like that for schools. Of course, I'm speaking about the Lions Club International Foundation. Maybe we could work together to get some Lions clubs to work towards, doing that. Because I think it's a great opportunity to, get in there and actually build it. Hey, who knows? Maybe we actually send a team out there to actually build it. Chris and I just got back from going to Morocco when we were doing stuff in Morocco. It would be a great trip to get people out there to help out. So I think Chris and I were just talking about this earlier. Is the partnerships, are such a great thing. And how we communicate and how we work with each other are, really what sets us apart. From seeing things, and hopefully someone can hear this and maybe they want to reach out and donate or help out. So
yes,
you have a webpage that they could go to donate if they want to donate here in the United States. Since we can't get coffee yet.
Yeah, so kickstartcoffee.org, and there is a donate button on there. So that would be incredible. And I always email any people that donate just to say where the money has gone. Even if it's $10 or £20, there's always a purpose for that amount of money.
That's
but
awesome.
The building that I've got my vision on is going to be an education centre. So it will be for training teachers locally, and also the community mothers, because many of them can't speak or write English. So we'll be doing some kind of literacy work around the mothers. So it's got a huge potential to have big impact, as well as hopefully start a revenue stream with the teacher training. So it's all about how can we sustain this project in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time, when I'm not here anymore, that actually these children can still come to school, and it's not for nothing, but I think it's important that, these projects can run for themselves and can get the money required. They just need a kickstart, which is why we're called Kickstart.
That explains a good question of where the name come from. So that's brilliant.
Well, it actually came from a lovely lady in the UK called Sarah Sloman, who on Facebook, I said, I've got this crazy idea, setting up a coffee company for this purpose. what name should we call it? That was basically it, because I just couldn't think of a name. And Kickstart Coffee was definitely the one that was the winner.
Well, I mean, Chris has sort of alluded to it, in the Global Week of Service that we've just done. We did one in India the year before and Kenya the year before that. And I believe we've already got a destination ready for 2026. But one of the things I'm thinking of trying to do in the UK is to see if we can put a project and a team together to do something independently.
Yeah.
And, one thought that came to my mind when I saw about planting coffee bushes, that may be something we could incorporate. So if we were to get, 20 or 30 British people to get on a plane and go to Uganda, how would you feel if we did a project together and helped you try and do something manual, but also potentially, like Chris says, see if we can't help by getting some funding? If that was of interest, is it worth us having that discussion further?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think any kind of partnership collaboration which has impact, is incredible. And we work with some of the most amazing people in Uganda to make sure the projects have, that they're viable and that they are run well. So transparency is our biggest thing, to make sure that donors know where the money is going. That's really important to us.
Same for us. Every penny that's donated into our foundation, every single penny or dollar, that goes back to the charities, go back out to fund projects. All of the costs are done from the interest of the foundation. So it's one of our proudest claims. We don't take money for wages. It's every penny that we raise goes to good causes. So it's very aligned.
Yeah, and that's actually quite hard to find now. I think charities, foundations get quite a bad name, especially at the moment, I think, in the changing world. So I think it's just important to really be as open and transparent. And I think then people really value that, and they're more likely to give and support when they know that actually there is honesty around what we do. So it's really important.
Yeah, we've actually got another project in ginger in Uganda at the moment. You mentioned earlier about sponsoring children. And on that particular project, we are looking to sponsor 40 children for their life in school, to give them water, clean water, food, education, training, etc., etc. So we already have one project in Uganda already. So it could be that we could align the two projects together in one visit, and we could start to think about putting a little project together. Yeah,
definitely.
Sounds really good.
And I did do a quick check. There is actually a Lions Quest in Uganda as well. So Lions Quest is yet another project that Lions have that deals with education, that helps out and provides education programs. So maybe that's even something that we can help out with. So we'd love to see you further and be able to help you as much as we can.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. And I haven't even talked about the school on Mount Elgon, which is very exciting. 260 children. They don't really have any food. They're desperate for investment. No running water, no electricity, only one tiny little stove. So it's a huge, the impact that we could do is huge. It's always going to be there. It's just finding kind of the people that it really resonates with.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean,
that's why coffee is so good, because when you buy the bag of coffee, the coffee number one is good. It's specialty grade. It's good quality coffee. So you're drinking a great product that also does good. So it's a no-brainer. People choose the coffee for the coffee, and the projects are a bonus.
Yeah.
Well, but even then, though, it takes a lot. I mean, because we talk to so many people all over the place. And Lions have 1.4 million people that are doing service, but there are not 1.4 million people that are empowering others. And even if you look worldwide, we have so many people that are doing things, but they're not empowering like you are. And I think it takes I think what you said earlier was, when you actually went there and saw it, being able to see something and see how their lives are different than yours really changes a person, and I would always, if you get a chance and you get to take an opportunity to go on like a trip like that and help out somebody, it'll change your life forever. I encourage anyone to do that because you'll come back and you'll want to do things differently.
Yeah, I'm taking a group of 12 young people out in July for that reason. So to really kind of, change their lives and just see a different culture and interact with the children. Our son Ruben, he's been going since he was little, and it's his second home, and it's important that we give children opportunities to see different cultures.
Definitely. When Chris, we had a chat, just the two of us, talking about why we wanted to do this. And one of my things was about young people and broadening their horizons. And I tried it through Cobs Scouts, Venture Scouts, Leos, Romania, all these different routes. But the same thing applied all the while, was just opening their eyes to the bigger world. And what I've always felt is my world is always better because of the people that I meet and the people that are in it. It opens my eyes as well, not just the children. So I think it's really, really important that young people get to see and experience other cultures, ways other people live, because it's vastly different to what they're used to. And they complain because they haven't got the best trainers or the newest PlayStation or whatever. And they go somewhere like that, and they're changed forever. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Wow, I was not ready to hear. I mean, your story. I knew a little bit from Chris, but it's definitely stuck out to me, and hopefully our listeners will have the same opinion that it's great to hear a voice of purpose that's doing more than just voicing their purpose and actually doing something. So thank you for all you've done. One last question is, what advice would you give someone that's, trying to search for their purpose and trying to find their way?
I think listen to your heart, really. Like if you have a calling to do something, and there's opportunities, then do it, because you never know what you can achieve. I think if you were to ask me 7 years ago, would I be running a coffee company? There is no way. I mean, I had no experience of business whatsoever. I was completely kind of in the NHS system and thought that's where I'd be forever. And so I think there was just a little voice going, what if you could set up a coffee company? What if this could actually work? So I think it's about kind of going for it, really, and giving it a go. So anyone out there thinking about doing something, then I would just say, open the doors and see if they open, or push the doors and see if they open, if that's the same.
That's great advice. Absolutely great advice. And I think one of the sayings I like to use is, don't underestimate the impact we can have on people.
Yeah.
All those people that you've been supporting, adults, children alike, farmers, teachers, you've had such an impact on those people. And I don't know how many of them speak English that
it's an English speaking.
It is English speaking. So they can tell you, you can understand the impact that you're having. But quite often people don't.
And I think it's flipped the other way, though, because I think that I don't think they recognize the impact they have on my life either.
Okay.
So, they meeting Justine in her school on Mount Elgon, and Moses, and seeing, him living in a mud house, growing coffee that we drink over here, that probably has a bigger impact than me turning up and, so I think it's always both ways, and it should be both ways, and it should be communicated both ways as well.
Definitely. definitely.
Well, Chris, I don't know if you realize this or not, but this is actually the third nurse we've had on here on the show.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that just shows, Ginny Ware and Pat Furlong, both being nurses. So, it's
true,
definitely. My wife's actually a nurse as well, and I can tell you that it takes a certain heart, to be a nurse, and I think that definitely helps out, hearts of nurses and doctors for going out there. So thank you for all you've done. Thank you for all you continue to do, and hopefully we'll be able to help out along the way. If there's anything you can see that we can help you with, we would love to help out with. Especially, you've got the picture right behind you, of a lion. As soon as you're ready to, come and join us,
Yeah.
You can come right in.
Yeah, you'd always
Join
be
the
welcome.
lions, and
Thank
I think we can help you, double your stuff there. So, but thank you for all you've done. Thank you for your voice. Thank you for finding your purpose and seeing it done.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And I think if we have any more nurses, Chris, we might have to change this to nurses of purpose.
We've got it. Nurses have got a great heart until their husbands are unwell. I think Chris will probably say that.
my nurse keeps me right in control, where I need to be, and keeps me online. So
Exactly.
and thanks again. Like I said, if you want to give us your website again, real quick.
So it's kickstartcoffee.org.
Kickstartcoffee.org. If you want to go on there, click that donate. If you can't buy the coffee, if you can buy the coffee, buy the coffee. I will hopefully be getting some from Mr. Chris Hibbert whenever he comes and visits me in September. Can't wait for that, as I am a avid coffee drinker, and hopefully we can help you out there, and hopefully maybe get somebody in the U.S. that maybe wants to hook up and be able to do this side. That would be wonderful. So
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been absolutely great to actually talk to you. I've communicated on WhatsApp and Messenger and email and Facebook and all sorts of things. So it's been great to actually have a proper conversation. As I said at the start, your story is amazing. It's so inspirational. Really grateful for you spending some time with us, and just hope that we can help you connect with other people to help you build this even bigger.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
yeah, this definitely showcases the every story matters and every voice has power. Your voice is definitely given power, and hopefully we're able to help you to give even more power to the kids and all the different farmers that you're helping out in Uganda.
Thank you.
I'll give you the last words. Any last words, Hannah?
No, just keep drinking the coffee. That's really it, really.
I'm going to get one right now.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
No, don't. You won't sleep.
Well, it's a bit late.
And now a look at LCIF and how they're helping others around the world.
Here it's a very poor community. It's a rural one who work in agriculture, in taking care of sheep, bovines. We are here to try to help these people of this community, to bring them humanitarian aid, medical aid, and everything they need. So we are a group of many doctors. We have medical generalists, we have anesthesiologists, urgentists, cardiologists, radiologists, gynecologists too, and dentistry, of course, surgical dentistry, periodentistry, and of course pharmaceutical doctors to help them, give them some medication for their pain, what we diagnosed with the other doctors. So sadly, this community is a little bit like 60 to 100 kilometers from the nearest hospital, and people here, they are limited income, so they don't have cars, they don't have trains, so can go to a big city to get help. Once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks, we visit all of Morocco. We do it from Tangier to Gawera, we go to the Sahara, we go to Mountain Atlas, to the beaches, so we can help many people that we can, because sadly there is so much people living in mountains, they are very away parts of Morocco that they can't go to big cities to get attention, so we bring the attention to them.
In addition to the blankets and these bags of cooking supplies and the flour, we also gave away wheelchairs, and we are 120 some kilometers away from the nearest hospital. So these mobile missions are just so important and so vital to these remote communities.
Our club, it's a mobile hospital. If they can't come to us, we can go to them.
You might be able to hear in the background, We Are the World is playing, and what a perfect song for what's going on today, making the world a better place for everyone.
Thank you for joining us on Voices of Purpose. If today's story moved you, inspired you, or sparked a thought, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, live it, let it drive purpose in your own life. Until next time, stay grounded, stay inspired, and keep using your voice for good.